So welcome everyone to today's interesting section. So let's start joining as we go live in today's interesting section. So waiting for others, waiting for everyone. Welcome everyone to today's interesting section. How are we doing? How we are doing? You can actually tell me where you're actually listening to me from so that I will know where you guys are actually connected from as we go live in today's interesting section. So actually waiting for comments on the chat box before we go live in today's interesting conversation. Now, one point we'll be looking at, one area in which we want to be looking at in the course of today's section is I want to first look at the market, our market analysis. What is the market currently saying? What is the basic update on what the market is saying? How can we actually go about the market? And this is the first point we will be looking at in the course of this session. So after this point, we will go ahead to also look at the updates. What are the updates in the market? What do we need to actually know concerning the market analysis and other? So all those points are actually very important that we need to actually take note of. Are very important that we need to take note of. I'm going to talk about um and when looking at the market and other. Please let's keep joining. Let's start joining as we go live into this section. Oh, good morning to you. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for joining us live in today's section. So today we'll be looking at the market analysis, looking at what remember for the past few days we've actually been looking at the market, giving different prediction action price of the market. This is what the market is going to play out. This is how the market is going to play out. This is what we need to know about the market. So now looking at the Bitcoin market, remember in my few sections I've actually had throughout this week, I've actually been analyzing different projects. And one of the projects in which we also looked at was a Bitcoin market. And we said that looking at the Bitcoin market, one point in which we're actually looking at is the market, and that is what is actually happening in the market. Now, if I will ask someone, okay, looking at technical analysis and looking at fundamental analysis, which of them actually plays out most times? Now you will notice that the technical analysis, fundamental analysis actually plays out. Technical analysis also actually plays out, but one thing you have to know is that okay, you actually most times when you look at the chart, sometimes you can actually easily predict what is actually going to happen before the news comes on board and all that. Why in the fundamental analysis is actually really very important because you get the kind of a news the news about what the market is saying, what is the trending market, what is the updates concerning the market, and so all these factors, all those points are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market. Are actually very important points that we need to take note of when looking at the market. Now, looking at in the past few weeks, I've actually been telling you guys that the month of September, I actually see the market being bullish for the month. I'm sorry, bearish for the month of September. I'm actually saying the market being bearish for the month of September. But looking at October, knowing fully well that a lot of investors are actually waiting to actually invest a huge amount of money into the ecosystem. And they're actually waiting for a kind of a little bit of approval from the SEC. Now, immediately that approval is made from the SEC, we are going to see a tremendous move in the market that is actually going to open the door for the halving that is actually coming about. So, if you are yet to go into the market right now is the right time for you to start looking at going into the market. Now is the right time for you to start looking at investing and keying into the market because we have a lot to actually gain or a lot to actually key into when looking at the market, when looking at what is actually happening in the market, how can we actually take control of the market when looking at the movement? And also, all these points are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement, what is currently happening in the market, how can we actually take control of it? And also, all this. Now, currently, you can see the Bitcoin price here. We have the Bitcoin price currently is currently at 20. is currently right now at 25, is currently now down 25. Well, I'm actually seeing the market still based on this chart here. I'm likely still going to see the market coming down up to, is currently at this area here that is around 25, currently at 25 and there, but I'm expecting to see this market still coming down in the market space. Actually expecting to see a move in the market coming down, giving a new direction when looking at the market. So if the market is likely, this is around 24,000, this is around 25,000, 25,000 thereabout. So the market is likely going to come down up to this area. Now this area here, you can see this line. I've actually drew the line. This area here we have here, this area here we have 23 here and other. So the market is likely going to come. Let's look at it. This the next action plan of the market. This area. Now we are likely going to see the market coming down up to this area here that we have here, which is around 25,000, 24,300 in the market. So we are likely going to see the market coming down up to this area here in the market. When looking at the market movement, what is actually happening? How can we know the movement action plan of the market? So all these points are actually very very important that we need to, all these points here are actually very very important that we need to look at, that we need to talk about when looking at the movement of the market. So I'm likely the next one is actually okay, what is the next target for Bitcoin? Someone is actually asking me the next target for Bitcoin. Well, for me, the next target for Bitcoin, I'm actually saying the Bitcoin market coming down up to this area here in the market, up to this area here in the market, which is around 25,000, 24,000 in the market. So that is the next movement of the market that I'm likely going to, we are likely going to see. And also, it is very, very important that we understand this market movement, what is currently going in the market, how do we need to understand when looking at the trend of the market or the market analysis. And there is all those points here are actually very, very important that we need to actually talk about when looking at the market space and others. So now looking at the market, and so looking at what is actually happening, you can see the market is actually now, it's now below 26. It has already gotten to 26. Now it's currently below 26 and it's actually trying to struggle to supersede that 26,000, which we're likely to see a downward push in the market as we keep pushing forward. That is one point that we need to actually take note of when looking at the market movement and other. Someone is actually asking, okay, what is the next action plan of, now we can see now looking at the support level. And at the support level of the Bitcoin market, we might likely going to say 25,800. We're already seeing 25,900 in the market. So the next major level of my likely to see, we are going to see 25,000. We might likely going to see 25,800, 25,550, 500 in the market as we keep moving forward. And so all those points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of, that we need to talk about when looking at the market movement. What is actually controlling the market? How can we actually go about it? And what are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the market movement and other? All these points are really very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement. And also, apart from this, now let's look at other projects that we can actually talk about, that we can analyze and get more detailed analysis from it and other. Remember, the month of this month, and this one thing that you need to consider, one thing that you need to take note is that the market, the Bitcoin market, actually controls the market, actually controls what actually happens in the market, how the market is likely going to play out on the longer term, and that the Bitcoin market actually has a kind of a big role to play because it actually controls the movement of the market, and which is one important sign that we need to actually take note of when looking at the market movement. And also, let's look at, for example, now let's look at this market. For example, that means the run. Let's look at run, for example. We actually have run on our platforms that you can actually trade, but I'm actually looking at run right now as a kind of a dip. I'm looking at the dip aspect of not a run because the market is actually going to be very deep when looking at it. So let's look at run, for example. If this is run, for example, let's look at some analysis here. Let's get some analysis here. Please, along the way, please, if you have any question, You can do it by asking on the chat box if you have any question, if you need any clarification. You can do it by asking on the chat box, in which justice is going to be done as we move ahead, as we keep moving ahead in the course of this section. Let's analyze run. Let's get few analysis on run here. Trying to bring it out. Okay, okay. Let me bring it more closer. I believe you can see the market. So let's start from let me see. Let's start from the way the month is going. Okay, it is August. Let's draw it more. I want to start from around probably March, or let's start from March, April. Let's see what the market has been happening from March. That would actually give us a kind of a gooder view on what the market has actually been, what has actually been happening in the market and all that, which is which is very, very important, that we need to take note of. All those points here are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement and all that. Okay, this is 1 hour. Let me put it in the, sorry, I want to put in the day. Let me put in the day time frame. Now looking at this in the daytime frame, we can see, let's bring it closer. Now, this has actually been the market himself from, now looking at the market himself from 20, this one, for example, looking at this one, for example, from 2021, it came into the market 2021. You can see the market in which this one, for example, it came into the market 2021, and right now you can see the market is currently at this area here in the market. You can see, I believe you guys can see this analysis where this one here, it came into the market around 2021, and currently, right now, you can see the market is currently at this area. You can see how the market has been moving. Now, if I bring this here, if I bring this out, now you can see how the market has been moving. It came up, it has moved, come, the wing has actually come up to around 23, thereabouts in the market. You can see the wing stating as 23. That actually happened around the year it was actually launched into the market. That's around 21 that it came into the market. The next all-time high that it actually got again, it got to this area here again, which was that last on the 21st and thereabout, which was around, I'm sorry, 21, which was few years ago, which was around 16, and right now it came down again up to this place, which was around 13 thereabout. Right now it's actually floating around this area, which is around, just to tell you, this is how, look at how down this market has actually been. Well, I'm still expecting more downward move when looking at this market. I'm still expecting, this is not yet, this is not all that's actually happening in the market and other. So you can see this market, you can see this area here. This actually happened 2021, in which the year it was released. And for 2022, you can see the market actually remained stayed at this position when looking at the market. So now just imagine this. If I will bring this here, for example, you will notice that you can see the descending order of the market. This actually shows you that the market is building a form of a descending order when looking at the market is actually building a descending order when looking at the market movement and so it's all those areas here are actually very, very important. Well, now are we likely still going to see the market still coming down again? Now, well, are we still going to see the market? Okay, this market we're currently seeing currently, I'm still expecting this market to still come down, to still come down when looking at the market. I'm still expecting this market to still come down to around, maybe probably to around one thereabout. It's currently around one, but I'm still expecting it to still come down, maybe probably to around this area. It's just a little bit of coming down again to around this area here and others. So we will likely see a little bit of push in the market and subsequently to probably to get to around two thereabout. So let me bring it more closer, guys. I just wanted to show you guys what the market has been so far. We're looking at this when the market came into the market, the all-time high of the market and the all-time low of the market when looking at it. So looking at the market here, looking at it here, and if I want to stick to the all-time low of the market, now looking at this area here, let me draw this all-time low. Now, this is likely going to be the lowest level that the market has gotten through. Let's put it down here. Let me bring it here. This area here. Yeah, this area here. Now you can see this area here, you can see what is actually happening here in the market. All these points here are actually very, very important. It's very, very important that we understand all this market movement when trying to understand what is currently going on in the market. And it is very, very important that we understand all those factors when looking at the market movement, and all that is very, very important that we understand all these movements of the market when talking about what the market is saying. How can we actually take control of the market when looking at the market's movement and order? So let's bring it down now. Let's check more. Let's get more analysis in this month. Now, looking at this month, for example, look, let's check what has been happening in the market so far for this month, and other. Let's get what has actually been happening in the market so far for this month. Let's bring it here. You guys have seen the market from the all-time high when the market started and where it has actually gotten to currently, and other. All these are actually important points that we need to actually. It is very, very important that we understand all these factors when talking about the market movement. How should we actually go about the market? What are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the market? And all those points are actually very, very important that we need to actually take note of when looking at the market. And it's very, very important that we understand all these factors. It's very, very important that we understand all those factors when talking about the market. And that is very, very important that we understand all this movement of the market when talking about it, how the market is moving, how can we actually take control of it. And that is very, very important that we understand how the market. Now we understanding how the market runs. Now you can see from this area here, you can see what is actually happening in the what has been happening in the market so far from this area here. Let me bring this here. Let me say from this area, this is February, March, February, this is May. Okay, now looking at this market from this area, you can see this push here that we notice in the market. Let me bring this clearer. Let this to be clearer. We need this to be more visible. Let me change this for midday. So all those points here are actually very, very important. Just trying to give you guys a very good structure of the market. So looking at the market from here again, looking at the market from this area here, You can see what is actually happening in the market from this area here. Let me bring this out. Let's get more view. Let's get more view. I believe you guys are following me. I get what I'm actually showing you guys in the course of today's section. Please and please along to this section, if you have any question, you can do well by asking on the chat box in which justice is going to be done. If you have any question whatsoever, you can do it by asking on the chat box in which justice is going to be done as we keep moving forward in the course of today's section. Just trying to have a very good positioning so that we can actually analyze it perfectly well when looking at the market's movement. And you can see from this area here, you can see how the market has been moving from this area. Now bringing it here, we almost done this area here. Let's check it from this area. Let's check it. Now looking at the market here from this area, you can see the market's movement here. You can see the market from this area here. So let's get it right. Now, looking at the markets here, looking at the markets movements here, you can see what is actually happening in the market so far. You can see how the market has actually been moving, and you can see how the market has been moving, and you can see the markets movement from this area here. Now, okay, let's bring it down here. Let's see some view about the market. Now you can see the market area here. You can see the point of movement here. Let's bring it close again. Now you can see this area here. You can see what is actually happening in the market. So from this area here that we're actually noticing, we saw a push. We saw a push in the market from this area downward movement here. That is what we're actually noticing in the market. You can see how the market has actually been going. You can see from this area here that we have in the market. You can see how the market has been going. What we are actually looking at when looking at the market and movement. And now the market is actually walking around this area here. You can see the market around this area. So what is the next action plan? Now looking at this market, you can see this points here. I believe everyone are actually following me up in the course. Or please, if you have any question, if you need any clarification whatsoever in what we're actually talking about, please you can do well by asking on the chat box in which justice is actually going to be done as we keep moving. Now you can see this area here. You can see this area here. You can see what we actually have in the market in this area. Now you can see this point here we have in the market. Now you can see this point, this line here. You can see this point here. Now this same point again, we can see another break again in the market, another break of line again in the market. Now this actually, you can see the major, you can see major resistance level. You can see it here. Major, you can see this line here. You can see what it's actually saying. Major resistance. You can see the major resistance level. This is actually one major resistance level in the market. Now looking at the market, look, moving it from this area here. Moving it from this area, let me then we see another line movement again. This is not sorry, this is not sorry about that. Sorry about that. So now looking at the market, coming to this a point again, looking at this break, this line here that we notice in the market, you can see this point here again that we're actually seeing the market. You can see another break of structure here again in the market. We have different break of structure that we're actually noticing in the market. There's actually another one around this area. Now, if I bring it here, you can see another this break of structure that we actually have here again in the market. Now, if I bring my line here, you can see this movement of the market. You can see this area here. You can see how the market has actually moved from this market movement, and you can see to this area here that we actually have here in the market. Now, if I bring it to this area, here that I'm noticing in the market and all that. Now, apart from this market, you can actually see now it's moved. Now you can see from this area here, you can see from this area here, looking at this market now, you can see how the market actually moves. So if I actually let me bring this line again, see it from this point here, looking at how the market moves and all that. So it is very actually very important that we understand all this will actually give us the next action plan of the market. What should we expect next from the market? When so you can see the market's movement from this area. You can see this line here. Just let me just make this one faint. Let me make it faint. Shall it take? Now you can see how the market moved from this area here that we're actually noticing it. How the market are moved from this area. You can see the market. You can see how it came here. You can see the movement of the market. It came here again in the market, and you can see the move, the push that we notice in the market subsequently when looking at the market and movement and all that. So you can see this line again here. Let me draw this again. And you can see another line from this area here. You can see the wing. The wing actually got to around 2. And then I still believe that the market will actually get up to 2 again because the wing is already showing sign that is likely going to get up to 2 thereabouts in the market we're looking at. So looking at this area here, you can see how the market, you can see how the market has actually been moving, what is actually happening in the market, and there is not much decision. I'm actually saying the market actually still playing out. The market has actually begins playing out. So I'm actually expecting more play out in the market subsequently. So let me draw what I'm actually looking at in the market. So now looking at the market is likely is around this area, which is around 1.4 thereabouts in the market, thereabouts when looking at the market and also the market is likely going to come to this area here. We might likely see a little bit of move here in the market, and the market is likely going to come down up to this area here, which is around 1.5. We're actually going to likely still going to see the market coming up to this area here, which is around one, if I'm not mistaken, this area here 1.5 thereabouts in the market and all that. Now looking at the market or coming down, or probably the market, yeah, the market might actually come down. Let me just put it around this area here, which is around 1.2 in the market, and we will actually see the market also coming up again, then coming down again to around 1 in the market. So I'm actually seeing the market coming down up to this area here that we're actually noticing in the market. You can see this line that we are just faint line that we have here. I'm actually seeing the market coming down up to this area here in the market. Then subsequently, we might likely see a kind of a move. We might likely see a push in the market subsequently and other to probably to around $2 thereabouts in the market. So it is actually very, this is actually like, it has actually started. Now looking at the market movement, you will notice that this has actually starts playing out when looking at the market movement, and so it is very important. All these points here are actually we're actually talking about actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market. What is actually going on in the market? How is the market likely going to play out? And other is very important that we understand. It's very important that we understand all these factors are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market. So looking at this line here, let me draw this, let me bring this clearly. Now looking at this point that we actually drew here. So looking at the market from this area here that we're actually showing you guys. So we're actually expecting, I'm likely going to see the market coming down up to this area here. So if I will bring this my long and short out, let me bring this out. So, so this, for example, so let me book this here, for example. So looking at the markets here, looking at the market from this area here, which is around probably 1.5. So the market, let me put this here around this area here. around this area here in the market, around this area here in the market around 1.6 thereabout. And we said the market, we're actually looking at the market coming down up to this area here in the market. So all these points here, all these actually all these are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market's movement, what is actually currently going in the market, how can we actually take control of the market. So if you're actually looking at actually in like looking at going into this market, let's see how the market actually plays out. But one thing we'll actually notice that the market has actually started, it has actually started playing out well, because looking at the market from this area, looking at where the market has actually gotten to and where the market is actually going to, and all that is very important that we understand what the market is actually going, what is actually going on in the market, how can we actually take control of the market when looking at it on the real sense, and all these points are actually very important that we need to understand when looking at the market movement, how the market is moving, what we need to take note of the market, and it's very important that we understand all these facts when looking at the market movement. And I believe you guys are actually following me and getting what I'm actually dishing out to you guys in the course of today's session. Please and please, if you have any question whatsoever, you can do well by asking on the chat box, in which justice is going to be done as we keep moving ahead in the course of today's section. Please, if you have any question whatsoever, please you can do well by asking on the chat. The Okay, this analysis. Okay, someone's asking me what analysis is this? Okay, this analysis I'm actually talking about is run US. This actually run USDT, run USDT. So this is actually so this is actually the project I'm actually analyzing. Yeah, so if you're actually looking at this, is actually what is likely going to play out when looking at the market move. So it is actually very important that we understand what is actually happening in the market, what we need to take note of, how can we actually go about, what are the various factors we need to consider when looking at the market movement. And all these points here are actually very important that we need to actually take note of when looking at the market movement, what is likely going to happen, what is the likely outcome of the market, and that is very important that we understand all this. I believe you guys are actually following me and getting actually getting what I'm actually dishing out to you guys in the course of this section. All these are actually very important that we need to actually take note, that we need to take note of when looking at the market movements and all that. Okay, thank you for the likes, thank you for the comments. Please, let's keep joining as we keep moving ahead in the course of today's session. Let's keep joining as we keep moving ahead in the course of today's session. Please and please, if you have any question whatsoever, if you need any clarification from what we're actually talking about into this section, you can do well by asking on the chat box, in which justice is going to be done as we keep moving ahead in the course of today's session. Well, currently we're actually seeing the market, the way the market is actually going to, and you can see the you will notice the Bitcoin market. We have actually talked about how the Bitcoin market has been playing, what should be the next action plan of the Bitcoin market, what we need to take note of it, how can we actually go about. We've actually talked about different factors that we need to that is very important that that we need to consider when looking at the market movement, and but it is very important. Now, one factor that is actually very important that we need to actually take note is that now looking at the ember September normally is usually very bearish looking at the market. But subsequently, if we can actually say I'm actually expecting for example, now the looking at the market itself, I'm actually expecting Bitcoin to actually show a kind of a strength that will actually give a visibility when looking at the market itself. So now on the buying zone, looking at the Bitcoin market, let me bring out the Bitcoin. Let's go into the Bitcoin market. Let's see what we're actually talking about. Now, looking at the Bitcoin market, looking at this area here, you can see the movement of the market to this area. You can see what we actually this area here from this point. You can see what is actually happening in the area, all these areas that we actually have here. Now, one point that we need to take note of when looking at the Bitcoin market is that you can see the buying zone. Now, looking at the buying zone of Bitcoin, looking at how the market, you can see how the market now the buy now buy zone for Bitcoin. I have said this earlier before. Now we are actually in the early boost season. Now what that is what we're actually in the early boost season, and also in the this is the time to actually invest. Now, looking at time to actually invest into now, this is time to actually invest up to 70% in your bag in crypto and all that. This is the right time for you to actually look at okay, going into the crypto market, investing because now okay, looking at next month for example, immediately the SEC actually because the SEC is actually reviewing what the court actually approved and immediately is actually passed and all that, you are actually going to see a push in the market because a lot of investors are actually currently waiting to actually invest into the market now. And also remember that Bitcoin market actually moves and also affects other cryptocurrency, neither positive or negative. Now, if you can check, okay, let's look at let's look at let's look at the market. Let's look at this market. You will notice what I'm actually talking about. Let's look at this. Let me bring this to play. So what do you notice there? Okay, now you can see this now. What do you notice there? You will notice that the Bitcoin market, you can see the Bitcoin market is actually affecting other cryptocurrency, other projects. So whether positive, now here's one thing about the Bitcoin market, whether positive or negative, the Bitcoin market actually has a very good effect on the market when looking at it on the research. So that is why it is actually very, very important that we understand how the market is going, what the market is actually really all about, how can we actually go about, what are the different factors we need to consider when you can see the market currently, you can see how the market has been going and all that. So this is actually a good sign to actually show you that whether positive or negative, the Bitcoin market actually affect the market. And right now, looking at the Bitcoin market, potentially we're actually going to see a very good push in the market subsequently and other. That's why it is very, very important that we actually look at the market, looking at projects to actually invest in. And also this actually means that it is also time now, it is also time to actually position your bags into other projects. Now we have different projects on the market space that you can actually look into to actually hold in your portfolio because we have a lot of projects that you can actually look into to actually say, let me invest into this project, let me look at this project because all these projects you are actually looking at is actually going to give you direction on what you're actually going to expect in the market. Now, one point that you need to take note down, actually saying that now is actually the best time. Now, if you're not looking at okay, what time should I go in? What is the best time for me to actually invest into the market? What is the best time for me to actually go into? Now is actually the best time for you to actually look at investing into the market because looking at what the market is actually looking at what is actually going about in the market, looking at how the market is actually playing out, we're likely going to see more strength in the market, more visibility in the market. Immediately Bitcoin actually goes well, most of these projects will actually push up. That is one thing I'm actually certain about. Immediately Bitcoin push up, most of this project we're actually talking about is actually going to push up subsequently. And also now it's actually very, very important that we understand what the market is saying. How can we actually take advantage of the market? What are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the market movement? What are the different areas we need to take note of when looking at the market movement? What are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the market movement? And that is very, very important that we understand all these factors I'm just talking about are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement, market analysis. How can we actually analyze the market? What are the different factors or what are the different areas we need to take note of when looking at the market movement? And all those areas, all those points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement and all that. Now, so if you're actually looking for the best time to actually position yourself into the market, right now is actually the best time to actually look at projects, to actually back your look for blockchain projects, crypto projects, and actually put into your portfolio because right now is the right time to actually invest into the market. And so I'll actually now right now you can actually like type on the chat box top project, top research that they're actually looking at in the ecosystem that you can actually invest in, and other you can actually look at this project and actually give me updates on it. Let me check. Do you have any if you have any project on your mind that you believe that okay, this project in this time right now is a time to actually invest into this project, you can actually tell me on the chat box so that I will so that we know, so that we can actually analyze it together as we move ahead in the course of today's session. Please, I'm waiting for your comments. I'm waiting for your comments. I'm waiting for your comments. If you have any project that you know that okay, this project is actually we have different projects. I'm actually that is likely going to do well immediately the boron period is around the corner, and we have a lot of projects where it's likely going to do well and other. But right now you can actually tell me which project do you feel that this project is likely going to do well, it's likely going to do well in coming days to come, or in coming months, a few months from now to come. Which project do you feel is actually going to do well? Now the one project I actually feel, this one that I actually analyzed, now looking at this one for example, actually that's what I actually just finished analyzing Ron. Now, looking at this one, I'm actually expecting the market to actually do well in run. Looking at the market now, looking at the market run, I'm actually expecting if it can comes down to here, I'm actually expecting the market pushing up to this tip that we have here, which is around two thereabouts. So it's actually so if you want to short, if you are more of a futures trader, you can actually short. But if it gets to this position or this area here, you can actually now long the market because we're actually going to see a very massive push in the market. And also we have ETC. I actually analyze ETC. This ETC, for example, this is also another project that I'm also very looking at to actually give us a very good return. And also we have a lot of AI projects, a lot of AI projects that you can likely look into that like there's actually going to give you an old return in the market and all that. Now we also have Key, we have Meta and other. We have all these projects that you can likely look into when looking at project that you can actually invest in. What are the projects you can actually invest in, and all these actually projects that you can actually look into to actually invest in when looking at the market movement. And all this actually very important that we need to actually understand. It is very important that we understand all these factors I'm actually talking about are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market movement. What are the action price of the market? What are the markets really I'm talking about? Is very important that we understand all these areas of the market when looking at it on the real sense and order. So what other point do we need to actually, what other point are we not yet looking at? Okay, let's look at the news. Let's go ahead to look at the news. What is the news currently saying in the market? Let's check out the news of the market. Let's check out the news. What is the news in the market? Let's check out news in the market. News in the market. Okay, we are currently on CoinDex. Let's check CoinDex. You can say, okay, we have the first one here. We can have the first news. We have here, you can say CoinDex index expands to Asia Pacific through deal with major exchange operator ICE. That is the first news that we have here on the market space on CoinDex. We can also see it here. We also have here some bankman fire remains stuck in jail. Another that is the founder of ETF has actually lost the bid for temporary relief from jail ahead of trial. It was actually trying to seek approval to actually have a kind of a temporary release from jail, but it was not actually accepted from the court, and the court did not actually accept the bail for him to be released for a particular period of time. We also have fear of FTX pause crypto slash in overblow analysis says, and other you can see it here. Crypto market prompt Monday among a consign FTX to will unload some of its 3.4 billion of crypto assets when looking at the market movement and all that. You can see judge denies Sam Bankman fine bid for release from ahead of trial. We also have Victor Putin wants a better crypto mixer. A group of crypto and private experts may have found a way to anonymous blockchain transaction, anonymosity to anonymous blockchain transaction, and all these are actually news that you can actually get. This is actually a very important news they can actually look out into Putin wants a better crypto mixer and other. You can also we can see it Jim Hearing shows key Senate Democrats ringing in ills on crypto and other. We also have crypto price and swap saw triggered $256 million of in liquidation loss and others. We also have namesake of Ethereum in the sake of sales data availability too confusing in terms when looking at it on the real sense. So these are news that you can actually check on the market space, and so all these actually news that we currently have we can see it. We have temporary joint sports and Bitcoin ETF raise, another which I hope is actually going to be approved. Immediately the sports BTF is actually sport Bitcoin BTF actually approved. Remember, we're actually going to see a tremendous move in the market, and that is likely going to come up next month. And subsequently, there's actually going to open way for the there's actually going to open way for the bit for it's actually for the Alvin actually coming on board next year, mid of next year, stroke ending of next year. Now, what is wrong with PayPal stable coin? And we also this is actually about stable PayPal. Those of you that's actually using PayPal, this is actually PayPal stable coin. We also I had headline PMCPI expect to have spike high in August, but call rate seems low. When looking at the market, we have Ethereum developers concerns unveil Snap one ad for MetaMask wallet. And we're looking at it, and all this actually news that we can actually go on the markets to actually check out. We can actually go on CoinDex. This is actually on CoinDex that we can actually check out to get more updates on what the market's actually saying. It's very, very important that we understand all these points. All these points are actually very, very important that we need to. So let's come here. Well, let's come to coin telegraph. This is actually coin telegraph. Now you can see the first one we have here what is crypto today, what we have on the market updates. We also have why is Bitcoin priced to what is Bitcoin priced today. We also have here weekend swap of the market, and also all these points are actually all these points are actually very, very important. You can see the meter in building is an AI model to rival open AI most powerful system in which you can actually get more looking at the market space, what is actually currently going in the market, what are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the market. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the market. What are the different factors we need to consider? How can we actually go about it? And also, that is all what we'll be looking at in the course of today's session. I believe you guys have gained a lot from what I've actually shared with you guys in the course of today's session. I believe you guys have actually gained a lot from what I've actually shared with you guys. So I don't know if we have any question. If you have any question, please kindly ask on the chat box so that I can do justice to it before we gradually come to an end of today's section. If you have any question whatsoever, you can do it by asking on the chat box so that justice can be done before we come to an end of today's session. But outside of any question, we've actually come to an end of today's session. Thank you, thank you. Hi, welcome. Welcome everyone, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us live in today's session. See you same time tomorrow for another interesting conversation as we keep learning, sharing more learning, impacting ourselves in the ecosystem. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and enjoy your day and have a blessed day ahead of you. Stay blessed, guys. See you tomorrow for another interesting section. Bye, guys.